RWBY Volume 7 is off to a slow but steady start with the release of Chapters 1 and 2, where today we're going to be reviewing and recapping each of them because individually there's not really much to talk about between them. So, quick recap. We pick up right where we left off in Volume 6. They're flying towards Atlas, there's a giant airship fleet there, and apparently something about this is strange. You'll pick up on this because they mention it repeatedly throughout the episode. Apparently, they're concerned, since they're in a stolen ship, that they might take issue with it. There really isn't an issue because Cordovan let them go, and really all they have to do is radio through and say something along the lines of, "This is Huntsman Crow Branwen, identification code 6734-67530-00458. We recently came from Argus, which has fallen under attack by several Leviathans. Cordovan is requesting immediate backup and resupply. We have also sustained damage and are unable to continue flying for a prolonged period. And we have Weiss Schnee on board, who you probably don't want this ship to crash with." And boom, you're in. Any mention of a Schnee is immediately going to attract Winter's attention, and therefore Ironwood. You also have to take into account that Chapter 2 verified that the IFF that they picked up coming in, they knew it was a stolen ship straight away, so the moment that they radioed, it was fine. I'd also like to bring up that for some reason they're not trusting of Ironwood and they think they need to go to ground or anything like that. This entire idea I had a problem with because it's more or less folly. Ironwood is running the Atlas military, which is guarding and controlling the entire kingdom, and they need to get through it in order to, 1, secure the relic, 2, get into the academy, which Ironwood is also running, and 3, to get to the relic that's already in the academy. Ironwood was an obstacle they simply cannot bypass, cannot get around, they had to go through eventually, and this idea of running and hiding was only going to hinder that process. But this was designed as a finale and not a premiere. Why they didn't rewrite it to work better as a premiere in the several months they had, I don't know. It's Miles and Kerry, although other people are meant to be helping them now. So, we head down to Mantle, and through several shenanigans, which involve trying to portray the entirety of Mantle as racist by just showing one drunk guy, and Yang drop-kicking a drone that takes photo of her because she totally got over her anger issues in V4. That was the point. V4 didn't have a point. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, we run into Dr. Palendia, Penny's father, who Maria just happens to know. Whatever, less convenient things have happened. And then a bunch of Grimm attack. These are called Sabers. They're more fodder that they easily mow through. But notably, the Atlesian Knights present are completely incapable of dealing with them. Put a pin in that, that's gonna come up later. So, they're shredding through them. Blake, for some reason, decides to use her broken sword instead of the sheath that's fully functional on her back, because they still can't be bothered to animate it and would prefer to retcon her entire fighting style. That's really all I can come up with, because, yep. And just as Blake is about to be chomped upon, Penny flies in. I never particularly liked Penny that much. I found her annoying, and her redesign makes her forehead look gigantic. Anyway, Penny is called away pretty much immediately because the city is apparently under constant Grimm attack. Put a pin in that, it's gonna come up later. And then everyone is one-shotted by the Ace Ops squad, and these are apparently Ironwood's personal elite of the elite, tippy top guys, and it's even implied by Ren in dialogue that, wow, they took us down so effortlessly. If they're actually meant to be of the level where they can take them all down effortlessly, I don't understand how Ironwood is having a problem with anything. Ever. And it also raises further questions for their role further down into the volume. But we progress forward. They meet Ironwood. There's a very, very touching scene between Weiss and Winter, which I needed more Schnee sisters. We didn't get enough of them in Volume 3, and why wasn't she in Volume 4? Just, why did they send her to Mistral and then send her back? You could have just had Weiss know that RWBY was going to Mistral, have her hang around a little bit at the house after Volume 4, and then she can catch wind of it. Just, yeah, it's kind of a dumb plot point. Then, Ironwood reveals he has the relic, and then he reveals his plan. His big plan. His global plan that I will skip over for the purposes of this, because the idiocy of this particular plan requires an entire video of its own. But after said plan, RWBY very wisely conceals the fact that there is one question left on the God Gift. Very wisely, because I'm severely questioning Ironwood's intelligence after this. There might be an excuse for it, but video later. We get a short tour of Atlas Academy with some interesting stuff in the background, including the fact that, yes, Jakshni is running in an election against someone called Robin. I hope that doesn't get meta. I really don't. Anyway, we meet the Aesop's team properly this time. I'm gonna be perfectly frank, they're either going to, A, turn evil, which, if they are meant to be so elite that they can easily take down people like Crow, one of them should solo pretty much all of RWBY. Or they're going to be the fodder that gets killed, taken out, etc., so that they can artificially raise the tension when Arthur and Tyrion pull whatever it is they have planned. Speaking of which, we get to see Arthur, who is now in Mantle. That's the bit under the giant floating city. And he can just sort of... the name is escaping me. What is the name of that game? It's the game where you can hack things and bring up city walls and everything. I'm probably going to add an annotation that I remember what it is. But yes, Arthur can just walk through the city and hack everything around him so that he can just walk through. The cameras switch off, barriers come up. It's kind of badass, but also really, really really high profile. The people, like, there's a point where a car hits a barrier, and there's a woman that runs out, and she's, caring for this person and everything like that. Like, Mantle is not that bad. Mantle is not, like, completely uncivilized. There's clearly military services present and everything like that. She's gonna say, there was this guy, he was walking through, the barriers came up. It's really, yeah, I don't buy it. And then there's the other thing where Tyrion kills a guy when a camera is off, but then when the camera comes back on, there's blood clearly flowing in front of it. That might be a red flag for whoever was there, just maybe. But, of course, then the episode ends. So, where does that leave us? Well, in terms of an introduction, it was slow but serviceable. As I said earlier, it's very clear that episode 1 was meant to be a finale, and it still reads like a finale, which is very disappointing. I was hoping that we would get more of a reorganizing of it so it would work better as an opening, but it seems that they were fine to leave it as is. As we move on to the second episode, there is a slight tone shift. There are some interesting camera shots in there, but ultimately, I'm not sure if the stuff with Ironwood, which we'll get to later down the road, is meant to be he's deranged or anything like that, or if he's just meant to be that dumb. I really hope he's not meant to be that dumb. That would be... I expected the writing to improve greatly this volume. They even added Eddie Rivas, who is the continuity manager of sorts for RWBY. So I was really hoping that that would come into it. Moving forward, we still have to get through most of the stuff that was shown in the trailer, and that will include weapon upgrades, outfit updates, and going through the Shni mine, which, if I get time, I hope to have another video out on how that will be an absolute breeze with everything that they have at their disposal. So, what we have to look forward to next week? Well, like I said, it's time for outfit and weapon upgrades. And with that comes a lot of stuff that we've been waiting for quite a while, which I will get to down the road. But there's some stuff that hopefully we are getting from Monty's original plans that he has brought up and that we know about. And unfortunately, due to some promo material, there seems to be some things that we just are not, mainly because RT has retconned certain parts of how certain characters work. As for the fight itself that occurred within this duology of episodes, it was serviceable. I liked Ruby's part. She finally remembered how to split herself after 3 volumes. it may have come in handy before that. I'm still waiting to see the tornado again. Oh, and apparently Weiss can just make people float away when they step on her glyphs. I can't imagine where that would have come in handy before. It's alright, I'm not salty. I know she needed to be fridged for John, but hopefully next week's episode will be monumental enough that it will be worth a video all in of its own. But until then, thank you for listening to my first video. I plan to be putting out content fairly reliably with multiple videos a week, so if you're interested in RWBY content, please subscribe. And if you don't want to, all good, feel free to leave a comment on how I can improve my process and anything else. In the meantime, this has been Dragon Panther. Have a lovely week.